Now, I'm sure you all know about Prime Minister's Question Time. And it's a boxing match, really. It's a fight, and people watch it because it's a fight. And you don't really learn very much about what's going on in politics. And it takes a little bit of study to find out the truth. The fundamental truth about this Parliament is the country was in a financial mess. I'm talking about a deficit of 150 billion, where for every £4 that the government spent, £3 came from tax, and £1 was borrowed, isn't really that easy to understand. If you think that for every person in the country, the Labour Party was borrowing £2,500 a year, so if you have a baby going through to 18, that's £45,000 that's got to be borrowed. You see the difficulty of dealing with that. And government finance doesn't work on a year-by-year basis. It has to be planned almost over a decade, and we currently have plans going forward to the year 2020. And much that the Labour Party have complained and whinged and groaned about everything, they now admit that our plans are right. And the problem with the plans is they constrain what you do, because if you're going to reduce what you borrow every year, you can only do that either by increasing tax or reducing spending. Now, I have some pieces of paper here. One is today's The Times, and on the front page, you can't see it from there, I presume, it's "We made mistakes amidst balls." So Ed Balls accepts they got it wrong. Now, actually, if you study and you look for the details, you can find information from Lord Turnbull and a person called Tony Blair. And although Tony Blair hasn't apologised for the Iraq War, he has apologised for messing up the economy. And what he said was, in his memoirs on page 679, is the failure to embrace the fundamental savings review of 2005-06 was a much bigger error than I ever thought at the time. So he basically said they got it wrong from 2005 through to 2008. Who else says that? Well, actually, there was a Lord Turnbull. Lord Turnbull was the Cabinet Secretary. The Cabinet Secretary is the Chief Civil Servant. So we have a situation where the top civil servant, the Prime Minister, and now the Shadow Chancellor say Labour created the economic mess. It's straightforward. So we come into government facing a cliff. We've got to deal with it, because we have to be responsible, because if we went like Greece, and we had the risk of going like Greece, everything goes wrong, and you see all the problems that happened in Greece. So we had to get on with things, and some of the things people didn't very much like. But let's see where we've got to now. Record numbers of students enter university. This is a story from December just gone. Record numbers of UK students were accepted for full-time university courses this autumn, including more poorer students than ever before. Let's have that, more poorer students than ever before. So we've managed to protect and improve the situation for people from disadvantaged areas. The pupil premium. That's about developing education for disadvantaged families, so that people can progress in society and aren't held back. Tax cuts for the low paid, as in increasing the tax threshold to £10,000 a year, something the Tories are trying to claim credit for, but we do have the video of David Cameron saying it can't be done. So, you know, it's a difficult one, isn't it? We promised to do that. We have delivered. What's wrong with that? In fact, I have a little booklet here that we distributed to various people, which has in it about 18 pages of things we have achieved in government. But the most important thing is we've got the economic strategy right. So what does the Labour Party do locally? Well, I have another leaflet here, a photocopy of a leaflet. We've got Green Labour News, and we have Councillors O'Shea and Stacey saying, "Set it straight, give Brum its money back." Well, okay, so they're campaigning because they think Birmingham is getting a bad deal. However, I asked Labour's spokesman on local government finance, Andy Sawford, what would they do? And he said, "We will not be able to stop the cuts or turn back the clock." In fact, they would cut the money to Birmingham even more. Now they say it would be fairer, but it's still less money than now. So we have a problem. Whoever's in government is actually cutting the money that's available to the council. Now, a lot of people have been saying to us they wished a coalition was back in control of the council. Now if you look around, do you see more rubbish around? Yes. Yeah? More rubbish on the streets, they're making a mess of it. Well, here we have another thing, I don't know if you can read this. This is a photograph of a sticker. So when I reported that there was a bag of rubbish left in Acots Green, actually, on Alton Boulevard East, the Labour Party spent the money to print a sticker that said, "Sorry, we're not going to collect this," and threatened anybody who looked at it with actually being fined if they don't take it to the tip. Now that's a bit like making lots of money out of people driving their children to the hospital by hiding signs away in a very tricky way. So, don't believe them when they say we're attacking the city. We're doing the best we can. We're trying to protect the weakest people in society with some serious success. The fact is that the country does have a serious financial problem, and we do have to be more effective. So you need councillors who come and listen to you about your problems. People like Zachary and Roger who will be there on the streets, not somebody who hides away in the council house pretending everything's perfect when it clearly isn't. That is what we need to do. Obviously Phil's explained the sort of excellent work he's been doing within the European Parliament. From my own personal point of view, I was very pleased to see that we followed international law when it came to Syria and didn't go straight for bombing Syria like Billy O. Similarly, in Bangladesh, we need to follow the Bangladesh. Sadly, you can see what's happening with the abuse of power by the Bangladeshi government. There needs to be new elections in Bangladesh and a caretaker government to cover that. I have also referred the dossier on human rights abuses in Kashmir to William Hague, and I'm looking for a detailed response from that. So on local, national and international issues, we, the Liberal Democrats, offer you a positive alternative to the Labour Party. Please back us.